And we are live.
Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. here for the Ask Junior portion of the Dale Jr. Download podcast presented to you by Xfinity. They are a premier partner of NASCAR, and you're a partner for fast internet. I'm a customer. I'm pretty happy about that. Leah is here today, as she is every week, to help us with our questions. We got a lot of good ones, so I'm excited to get this started. So let's go ahead.
All right, first question coming in from Jeff Robinson. He wants to know what your thoughts on the paint schemes for the All-Star race that we've seen so far. And I do believe I have a graphic up on your screen of all of them that are out.
Okay. Yeah, the paint schemes are changing for the All-Star race this week, and the race is Wednesday. I've got a couple of sheets right here. They move the numbers back. If you've been under a rock, let me explain. They're taking the numbers from the center of the door. They're sliding them back closer to the rear tires. They're going to open up a lot of space on the door for sponsors to go there. This is nothing new. This has been going on in our sport as far back as I can remember, even in the 70s with different cars in the Xfinity series, what was the Sportsman series back then. So you don't typically see this in the Cup Series, or haven't seen it in the Cup Series, but this is also very prominent in super late model stuff as far as dirt late model cars. So this isn't like that hard to wrap your brain around if it's done well. So looking at some of these cars, I got the Hendrick cars right here. I would say that the Exalta decal on the door of William Byron's car is way too big. I'd make that a little bit smaller. Those are some of the things that I'm going to nitpick. I'm particular about designs, and always have been about paint schemes and so forth. So I'm just going to kind of nitpick these things. And the Chevy Goods decal on Alex Bowman's car is a little too small, and I think they did that intentionally because there's a sort of graphic, weird stripe thing happening on his fender that I don't even know what that is.
Show that. Turn that around to the YouTube viewer here, looking on that camera.
Okay, so can you see this?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that little stripe is. I just get rid of that and make that Chevy Goods a little bigger. The number size is also been something I've been critical about in some of these cars. Let's take a look at the Chase Elliott car. Now, this one to me is really well done. Just really well done. I love everything about it. Also, the Penske cars, to me, they're well done as well. Now, the numbers are a little small. They look a little small. I need to see this on the racetrack to be sure. But the numbers are a little puny.
And those are hard brand logos to fit in on that because Discount Tire is so wide. And then on Logano's, they're trying to fit in Shell and Pennzoil.
On Logano's, I would have had to went with one or the other, not both. The Shell logo or the Pennzoil logo. Maybe you could do Pennzoil on one side, Shell on the other. Here is another great car that I think they did a really good job with, and that's the number 6 Ryan Newman, Oscar Mayer.
Ooh.
The 6 looks a little high to me.
Yeah, it does.
But again, I got to see it on the racetrack. These are renders. These are in no way an exact replica of what we're going to actually see on the racetrack. And sometimes these renders, they get them wrong. I think that 6 probably will not be that high. But that's a pretty good job. Also, we have the Stewart Haas cars. Again, their renders are a little bad as far as number placement. I don't believe that the numbers are going to be that high on those cars. And I've seen this. These are the renders that they use most of the time. These renders are coming from the die-cast manufacturers. So they basically try to design the car. They give it to the die-cast manufacturers because they've got to make these things way ahead of time. And the die-cast manufacturer's schemes always kind of screw or skew the numbers in the wrong locations a little bit. But here's an actual race car, all right, in the shop. This is Bubba Wallace. And this little logo right here is his main sponsor, which is that Worldwide Technology. The 43 looks low, but that's because there's no side skirt on the car. I think once they install the side skirt, that number placement was going to look really good. I think the number, again, could be a little bigger. I don't know that the number size has changed
Oh, yeah, not on that car.
Well, I don't know that it has on any of the cars. I think they've just slid them back.
They look a little small.
As they have slid them back, yeah, it's made them appear smaller. But I don't think they've actually made the numbers smaller, which is interesting. Here is two really, really good. This is really good. Both of them, actually.
I agree.
Christopher Bell, Matt Kenseth, well done.
Oh,
well
Kenseth
done.
is nice.
Christopher's number size looks really good. Great sponsor placement. Matt's car is really cool. Number's a little small for me, but that's because it has a white outline. As far as I know, I think NASCAR might have a rule on the size of the number. And that white outline around that 42 on the door is probably a good size, but since it's white, we don't see it. We don't see a large portion of it, so it makes the number look smaller because all we see is the black 42. But those two are really well done. Two more cars I think are well done, and this is a render where I believe the number placement's incorrect, but the Fastenal car for Chris Buescher, that 17 looks really good, really high, but hopefully as we see the car on the track, they've got that in the right location. The 37 here, Energizer car, Ryan Preece, really well done. I like that
Beautiful.
one. And here's two more. Well, we got all the Gibbs cars. I'm just going to say the Gibbs guys did a great job, except for, again, the numbers look small. I don't know that they're smaller than they originally were when they're in the door location, but to me they look small, particularly the 20. And Daniel Suarez is down here, and I've seen his car in the shop. This is the actual car. Daniel's car looks great, and his number looks really big. But there's the Gibbs cars. You see those. Another great job. I'm particular about paint schemes. That's why we're making such a big deal out of this.
Hold on, look at this. There's something interesting about Kyle Busch's. His does not have an actual logo. It's
just the M&Ms.
paint scheme. So if there was something that might look weird or just off, it's because the number just looks back, but there's nothing.
I'm not seeing that.
Okay.
I'm not seeing. I know what you're saying, Mike, but I'm not seeing that. I think that since he has the M&M's car, they are able to do this sort of creative. Obvious, it's obvious what his car is and the sponsorship is. I love that. And actually, his number doesn't look as bad as maybe the 20 of Eric Jones.
Yeah, the 20 looks
This is a render again. I don't know if this is the actual car may look a little different as far as the number size and so forth. But Daniel Suarez, his number's big. I saw this car getting wrapped on on a tweet from the team itself, and I was like, oh. Yes, they can make the numbers bigger. So there you go. There's going to be a lot more of these on the racetrack on Wednesday to look at, to talk about. Let's talk about it. Why can't we debate it? Let's debate it. There's nothing wrong with a good, healthy debate. NASCAR may be going in that direction in the future, so let's try to get it right. And everybody giving some input. All right, Leah, what's the next question?
Next question, coming from Mandy. What was your take from this past Friday night altercation after the race between Noah Gragson and Harrison Burton? And have you got a chance to talk to Noah about it?
Well, I told Noah that I didn't have a problem with anything he did on the racetrack or off the racetrack. Noah races hard. He's going to make mistakes. And he got into the side of the 20 car. It hurt them both. Noah was able to recover and was racing around there trying to get a top 5 late in the race. It's just these young kids are going to make mistakes, and they're not always going to do everything you want them to do on the racetrack, and you have to, as an owner, sort of season yourself for that. So when something like that happens, or, when Noah goes down in the corner and gets loose underneath somebody and collects him and the next guy, and they go up in the fence, you can't. You're going to have to be ready for that to happen as an owner. And there's races where your drivers are going to make mistakes. There's races where all 4 cars are going to crash and have bad runs. So you sort of got to be ready for that and not let it really get under your skin. If you let that get under your skin, you're going to be busy every week trying to diffuse and have somebody on at the table telling them what they should have done differently. As far as the fight itself, now I don't know what was said. All right, I don't know what they're saying. But what I see is Harrison didn't give him much choice. He put his hands on him twice. At some point, everybody's got their breaking point to where, they got to say, hey, I got to stand up for myself. Enough's enough. I can't let you continue to put your hands on me. So I didn't have a problem with anything that happened there either. I'm glad it didn't blow up into anything big. Obviously, I'm glad that the crew guys all didn't get thrown around and get into a big fight and get us into a big mess with NASCAR as far as suspensions and fines and so forth. NASCAR seems to not have a problem with anything else that went on. So it is what it is. I think at some point, we all as drivers, I think, have to, imagine what we would do in those situations. All right, a guy comes up to you and puts his hands on you. How far are you going to let that go, before you have to react physically to defend yourself? Or if you let a guy do that, that bleeds over onto the racetrack, okay? If you let him take advantage of you in the heat of the moment in a physical confrontation, he's going to do much more on the racetrack. He's going to use you up. Every time he's around you, he's going to take your line. He's going to force you off line. He's not going to care because he knows you're going to roll over. So Noah had to stand up for himself there, and I think he did a pretty good job of doing that. All right, Leah.
We're getting a ton of questions asking your thoughts on Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham's new racing series, SRX. What do you know about it? Will you be racing in it?
I got no plans, and I don't know that they've reached out to a lot of people to get real concrete confirmation on, who wants to do it, who can do it. I don't know that there's a lot of information from the series as well as what their cars look like and where they're going to race and what the schedule is. So drivers aren't probably going to, Tony might make that commitment. He's part of the program, but a lot of drivers are going to wait for a little more information, I think, before they could ever make a decision to do something like that. They all have their own schedules as well as things they have going on. I'm a broadcaster and whatnot. So I would say my interest is not very high until I learned a lot more about it. And
but what was your reaction as soon as you saw it, like learned there's a new series coming to Tony?
I'll be honest with you. IROC series is something that I've always thought was a great series, and unfortunately the financials for that didn't work out and they had to close that series. If this is anything like that, I love it. So I don't know whether it's all going to be past legends, retired drivers, whether they may incorporate some of the guys that are currently racing. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but the IROC series to me was something that I think had it been able to sustain itself, it was a pretty impressive series because the guys all would come down there. Stock car guys, Indy car guys, all types of different race car drivers would come into that series, and their egos would the egos would sort of manifest this real competitive atmosphere, so competitive, and that was really unique to the IROC series. You didn't see that in other forms of motorsports where, that competitiveness sort of spilled out on the racetrack, and we had some really dramatic moments in the IROC series. So I think fans love the IROC series. I see them still talking about it today. So if this is any, sort of similar series to the IROC, I think it'll be a good thing. All right.
All right, last question coming from Michael Fitzgerald. I would like to know how Junior feels about his NFL team changing their name.
Yeah, I'm all for it. This conversation's been going on for a really, really long time. And if you're a Redskins fan, like I am, you certainly are aware of the debate over the nickname. And I have learned in that conversation that this goes way back into the 70s as far as when the media started sort of writing articles about it. So this isn't nothing new, and it's certainly been more frequent over the last several years, much more frequent. You used to crop up every 5 years. Now it's seems like every year now. As a fan of the team, I'm excited about the change, and it's something that only Redskins fans, I think, will know this. We haven't won a Super Bowl since 1991. The state of the franchise and its success, all those things they all play a role in this in the emotion over this change and this decision. And I think for me personally, I'm ready for a new chapter. And I'm ready for this conversation to no longer be part of my experience as a fan of the team. and the debate over this and the frustration over it, and how it affects the franchise. It's a dark cloud over it all the time. You know, and it's not going away, and it's hard to continue to support the franchise when this is part of the conversation. So I'm great to sort of break completely clean and start an entirely new identity and future. I think it'll be great for the organization, the people that work in that company, the players that play for that team, anybody that plays for that team in the future. So I'm good with it. You know, I'm going to. I don't really, and there's been a lot of ideas that have been tossed around as far as names, and I got friends of mine that are fans of the team that want to, you know, wrap their brain around one or the other, and but I'm going to keep my. I'm not going to sort of fall in love with one, and I'm just going to wait because nobody really knows what the name's going to be. And I don't want to really like one and find out that it's the other, you know. So I'm just going to if I've invested in this franchise for decades, and I want to continue that relationship, and so I'm going to be open-minded as to whatever it becomes, and whatever it becomes, I'm going to like that, and that's what it's going to be. So it's it's going to be it's going to be a big change, and it'll be interesting to see how all that continues to play out. But I think everybody's eager to know what the name is, and it looks like that we're going to have to be patient on that part. But yeah, they've been talking about this for quite a while, Mike. So finally, good that it's happening, and we can move on.
Yeah, I'm sure it's exhausting.
It is.
I can appreciate that. I'm also glad to hear that you're not jumping ship. That you're, because nothing is more annoying than people that said, "I'm not going to be a fan of that team anymore" because they didn't get their way on something.
Yeah.
All right, so that's how you're going to live. Well.
Yeah.
Good
luck. Well, I'm I don't. It's not that I think leaving a team like that is one thing, but then you got to find another team, right? It's not just as easy as just walking out the door and saying, all right, I'm done with this. But then you got to find another team. I don't have that. There's nothing out there really has that appeal to me. And I know the history of this team so well. Players for this team have been idols for me. Art Monk, Darryl Green.
And that doesn't have to change.
Yeah,
at all.
And it and it won't. So it's a pretty big deal. And I'm kind of excited about it. I'm looking forward to the new artwork. Looking forward to how the fans sort of appreciate that and make it their own. For example, there's been Red Wolves is one of the ideas, and fans are talking about the Wolf Pack and the Wolf Den and all this stuff, sort of encompassing wolves. So it's going to be fun to watch the core fan base, the diehards, sort of make this their own, program. The teams had sort of this, like they had the Hogs, right? This was an offensive line that was very dominant. And franchises do that. They give their arena a name. They name. We had this wide receiver core that were called like the Funky Bunch or something. So, it'll be fun to watch them take this sort of change and get creative with it and give it a real identity and some real personality. The other thing too is, I think for players, I hate to speak for anybody, but I can imagine as a player how exhausting this must be. If you're on this team year in and year out, you really want to have some passion, right? And you want to invest some passion and some emotion into who you're playing for, and that logo and the colors and everything that the fan base represents. And it's hard to do under the circumstances. So that'll no longer be sort of a hindrance toward for the players of the team. Any future, trying to get a free agent to come play, right, for this team, has to be a hindrance. So I think it really opens us up to a better future as a franchise, and I'm glad that it's happening.
All right, guys, that's all we have for today.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in to our Ask Junior for the Dale Jr. Download. Presented to you by Xfinity. They're a premier partner of NASCAR. Are they still a new partner? I want to say new. They're not
Good
necessarily
question.
new to the sport. They've been around the sport for so long. And you know why I'm so excited about that? It's because I'm a customer. I'm a customer of Xfinity. I just became one, coincidentally.
Before they became a new
yeah.
partner.
And so, actually, I got Xfinity internet over at this vacation home that I have, and it's been amazing. So we appreciate them, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this Ask Junior. The podcast comes out later tonight. It's the second part of the Mark Martin interview. I know you guys really love the first half of his interview. The second half, just as good. Some pretty good, interesting stories in there as well. We also talk about in the opening segment, we talk about the underglow under the cars for the Xfinity or for the All-Star race in Bristol. If you don't know anything about that, you'll want to listen to that as well. So tune in when Matthew gets this out to you later tonight or tomorrow. So hope you guys have a good week.